Welcome to The Backstory, a podcast from the North Dakota News Cooperative that takes an in-depth look at the stories we're reporting for you. I'm Sabrina Halvorson, CEO of the North Dakota News Cooperative. Joining me is Michael Standaert, our lead reporter. Michael, the story we're talking about this week was headlined, "Expiration of Tax Credits Could Mean Larger Health Insurance Bills for North Dakota Farmers." Now, we've been keeping an eye on things going on for farmers, and there's been a lot in the last few months, but this particular story you've been keeping an eye on, and you reported about how things that are changing could actually affect their health insurance coverage. So tell me a little bit about what this could mean for farmers.
Yeah, so I've been tracking this. I mean, since I think we had a story in August about just the tariff issues and issues with soybean farmers in the state. And also, I had a story, I guess, in June on these Affordable Care Act enhanced tax subsidies. So this has kind of combined the two. I had come across some information about how nationally around 27% of farmers and ranchers would be impacted by the expiration of Affordable Care Act enhanced tax credits. And then I started asking around here, and I found out, wow, 70% of farmers who get the Affordable Care Act enhanced tax credits who are with the Farmers Union, North Dakota Farmers Union, 70% of those would be impacted by the loss of these tax credits, which will, officially expire at the end of this year.
So, with that, if we were to kind of put that into terms about how this could actually affect individual farmers, what are they looking at?
I mean, there's some calculations showing up to, 75% increase in, premium costs per month. I looked at some other calculations. I mean, what I included in the story, there was something like a family of four with an income of around 158,000 would end up paying about 20,000 per year in health insurance costs that had been covered by this tax credit. So it could be a big hit for some people. And it'll depend on individual situations, how much they earn, and all kinds of things like that. But the farmers union here was estimating about 75% increased costs for those people who do get those enhanced tax credits.
75% is significant.
Yes.
And I mean, obviously that. And, we're talking about farmers. This is their main business. Some sure have perhaps another job, or maybe a spouse has another job where they can get health insurance. But there's a lot where this is the family business, and that's how they provide health insurance for the family. And now all of a sudden to see the potential for that to increase 75% at a time when other things are also dramatically affecting farmers' bottom lines has
Yeah,
got to be very difficult.
that's the thing that I think is so problematic at this time. I mean, if profits were very high on all these crops, it would might be a different story. Some people could absorb that, but right now we're at a situation where there's not many people buying U.S. soybeans because China's not buying soybeans from the U.S.
Right.
Two-thirds of North Dakota soybeans go to China. Um, Prices for corn, for wheat, everything is down below levels,
Right.
high levels of a couple years ago, down to around 2012 levels, and all that comes at a time when increased input costs, other inflation for equipment, other things like that. Um, Debt is increased, just high interest rates. So all this kind of is a perfect storm of pressure for a lot of farmers here in the state and across the Midwest.
Right.
And then you
Yeah.
can add in, and I think something in the story I went into is all these. So they could potentially store soybeans, but I guess the issue is like, okay, well, is anyone going to buy those soybeans eventually? What happens to the next crop? Also, you have a lack of storage in a lot of places. A lot of storage capacity got damaged in the windstorms. Adding new, I didn't include this in the story. I talked to some people about it, but adding in new storage silos and things like that takes a lot of time and it's also expensive to add in that storage. So, replacing those things, I think there's been some state help for that, but it's not enough to really get things in fast enough to start storing things. And I think this week and next week is probably when the big harvest will take place.
Right. And of course, we're recording this on October 3rd, and as we're recording it, we're still in a government shutdown. But then also this week, the Farm Bill extension expired. The 2018 Farm Bill had been extended, and the most recent extension expired midnight September 30th. And so that can also add on to the other issues that the farmers are seeing because a lot of programs are now no longer operating.
Yeah.
Some of them like crop insurance and that kind of thing, SNAP benefits, which are both in the Farm Bill, they continue even if the Farm Bill expires. But there are many other programs that farmers need and rely on that do not continue if the Farm Bill expires, which it did. So that on top of the government shutdown, this is a really difficult time for farmers.
Yeah, there's a lot of uncertainty out there. I mean, I know so the Wall Street Journal had reported today or yesterday, late yesterday, that President Trump is looking to give about a $10 billion bailout or payout for farmers losses this year. But you kind of look at all these things, it's like, okay, they just gave twenty billion, I think, to Argentina, 10 billion could go back to farmers. They're going to take money from the tariffs. It just gets kind of confusing for farmers who, I think they just wanted the markets and they'd rather have the markets working long term and then not have to kind of go through all these different hoops to get subsidies to bail them out.
Yeah, I agree on that. I talk with a lot of farmers, and this time around and in years past, I've talked with a lot of farmers, obviously, and that's what they say is we would rather sell the crop. We would rather have a strong market rather than having to get the government bailout. It's good that, when if push comes to shove, that they can get some government bailout money, but they would much rather have a strong market.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, you hear people talk about how, this whole system with selling soybeans have been kind of set up with China for the last couple decades, and then
Mhm.
to have it kind of ripped out from under them, there's not really anything that can replace that. So what do you do? There's not really many options for putting in other crops,
Right.
particularly when the prices are already so low that, okay, if you add more something else, you're not going to really make much off it.
Right. And that's even worse, I think, in regions like this where we're limited on the types of crops that we can grow here in North Dakota. Obviously, we face more weather challenges than just about any place else.
Yeah.
So there are limitations, and our farmers grow what they grow really well
Yep.
here. And so you're right. They can't go and plant in, lettuce that you can sell domestically because it's
Mm.
just not going to work here.
Yeah, definitely. I mean,
Yeah.
I know farmers are trying to look for other outlets. I was looking at Reuters was reporting about this. They had I guess there's been a trade mission to Nigeria,
Mhm.
some discussions with Vietnam, Bangladesh. These are some of the places they mentioned, but it's still not that huge capacity that, China was buying every year. And China's turned to Argentina, it's turned to Brazil for these crops for its soybean needs. It's set up more, you know, diverse supply from other places because I think it was concerned about how something like this could happen. So it's set up a lot of alternate supply,
Hmm.
and it's kind of able to use it as a leverage for any trade negotiations too. So,
Right.
and North Dakota's farmers are kind of caught in between all of that. So, we'll see what happens in the next few weeks. I was trying to get out and see some of the storage issues, but from what I was told, some in some areas people have started to harvest, other areas people have been waiting. So you haven't really seen as much, storage glut issues as you might in the next few weeks.
Right. Exactly. That's what I was going to say. It's going to kind of grow in the next couple of weeks, especially.
Yeah, and then if people can't find, um, you know, storage in bins or whatever. Some of it might have to be stored outside. So then there's different issues to, take care of there. So the moisture content is correct when they want to, sell it later. So
Yeah.
there's all kinds of different conundrums for soybean farmers to try to figure out right now. And there's just so much uncertainty with, what's going to happen next. So
Right. And trade is kind of historically that way. It's all of these different trade issues. We had, even before this year, we had issues with China not fulfilling what was supposed to be their trade buying requirements with the trade deal that we had. So it's been kind of an ongoing issue. But now to just completely lose that market has been very, very difficult. So,
well, yeah, and one of the big issues that the U.S. has had with China for some time is China's claim that it is still a developing country. Um,
hmm
having lived there and having, seen, large parts of the country are still very developing. Large
hmm
parts of the country are outpacing the U.S. So how to factor that in, um, it's hard to say, but I think that's one sticking point with these negotiations for a long time. And I had seen something recently that China was going to kind of drop that stipulation, but it's hard to see how it's going to work out. I don't know.
yeah. Very difficult time. So, it's such a hard topic to talk about. And I don't like to go into topics without saying, here's something you can do about it. But right now, there's not a whole lot we can do about it. So I would just say to the people who are listening, give farmers a little extra grace right now because they're really going through it.
Yeah, definitely. And with the ACA enhanced tax credits expiring, I know there's been a lot of issues with smaller businesses too. So some, self-employed or smaller business people is a similar case to the farmers.
Yeah.
So, that they may have issues. So I welcome people to reach out to me if they have any concerns about their business and their, family business. It would be good to hear from them. That's something I've been wanting to look at as well, just the kind of small business impact of these, because these have been rolled out over the last decade or so, and people have seen it's a good way to get health insurance for their family. I don't know if those are gone, what avenues they're going to turn to. So that's going to be interesting to watch if it does expire.
Yeah. Yeah. It's something good to keep an eye on. And if people do want to reach out to Michael, you can email him at michael@newscoopindy.org. And anytime we're reporting on something that is such a difficult time for farmers, of course, we know that farmer mental health issues go up during this time. So, just as a reminder, if you are a farmer who is facing a difficult time, there are resources to help. There are several phone numbers that you can call. There is the Farm AIDS Farmer Hotline. That number is 1-800-FARM-AID. Also, the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, which anybody can call. This is not just for farmers, but anybody who's having a difficult time right now. That number is 1-800-273-TALK, 1-800-273-8255. And again, the story that we were discussing today was headlined "Expiration of Tax Credits Could Mean Larger Health Insurance Bills for North Dakota Farmers." You can read that story on our website at newscoopindy.org or in one of our local newspaper partners. For the North Dakota News Cooperative, I'm Sabrina Halvorson. This has been The Backstory.